what's the one thing at the moment you're really passionate about? What gets you out of bed every day to go, right, come on, let's tackle the world? What is it at the moment you're really passionate about?
It's what I start every conversation with every founder I work with is all the stuff that's messing with our heads right now. Let's get that out because there's a lot of frenzy and there's a lot of panic going on. It's like, let's just calm down. Let's get into a zone where we could be really productive and do something good. Let's start with humanity. That's what I'm really passionate about.
Right. Would you guys fight to say, calm the fuck down?
I would actually calm the fuck down.
Calm
Yes,
the
I
fuck
would.
down. I like that. I like that. Okay. So that everything in your head, and I'm an agent and a business leader. It feels you've got stuff coming at every angle, whether it's people, whether it's AI. You feel you've got a lot of stuff. I recently did the Alliance of Independent Agencies Pulse survey, and I think it's the first time I've seen in a survey where two of the challenges that people were saying were macro uncertainty.
Yeah.
People are going, I actually don't know what's happening in the economy. Normally get challenged around people, new business, but that was one of the first two challenges, along with obviously AI. So you've got all this noise coming in, all this chaos. How do you stay focused, Nikki? How do you calm the fuck down? And how do you go, right, I'm coming to work to lead my team. Where do I start? What do I do?
Yeah. Firstly, recognise it. As you said, there's post-COVID fatigue. It's always dressed up as flexibility, but this always on culture isn't great for us. There's economic volatility. We're expected to do more with less again. And as you say, AI, I'm not going to start with AI because that's the topic of conversation everywhere.
Well,
But the
yeah.
thing that I think we need to make sure of is that we are clear on our own vision, our own North Star. Be in control of the things we can be in control of because we can't affect a lot of this.
Yeah.
We need to be on receipt of some of it, but we can't affect it. And I recommend this book all the time. I'm not on commission. I've worked with Cameron Howard, the
Come on, let's
author.
have a look. Vivid
Vivid
Vision.
Vision.
I
It's
know this book.
absolutely brilliant. Yes. And it doesn't take long to read. And there's a 16-minute TED talk on it as well. So if you're interested, get your Vivid Vision clear. And that could be your North Star. And it can help you cut through all of this noise and stay human in it.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Yesterday, I took 35 agency leaders to lunch, and this came up, and I said, I think it was probably like 5 years ago we set our vivid vision.
Mm-hmm.
So we took everyone out of the business for a day, everybody, to a really cool barn in the countryside somewhere, and I said, this is my vivid vision. Okay, I would like to be the best in the creative sector of putting agency management systems in. But how do you quantify the best? Because it's very subjective. So I
Yeah.
said, the best to me is this. There's 25,000 agencies, give or take, in the UK, but there's about 8,000 that are RICP, 1 million to about 15 million gross income. I'd like to have 5% of that market. That was my vivid vision, my North Star. But then I said to the team, how do we do it? How do we do it? So I know you do this type of stuff with teams. What's the framework you should use? How should someone who's sat there now for all this chaos but going, I know what I want to do in my agency, I know where I want to get. How can they put that framework in place to stop
Absolutely.
making that a reality?
Yes. Well, the first thing is to get it out of your head as the founder, because if it's in here, no one else can align to it. And if you can get it out of your head, and there's a fantastic approach to do it here, in a way that's magnetic to others, you're going to attract the right people to your business and maybe repel some, and that's fine. You want the right people in your business who are aligned to what you're doing. But if it's stuck in your head, you're never going to get anywhere. First thing then, go away, get out into nature, go somewhere amazing. I always say to my founders, don't admin this. Don't just write it on a spreadsheet. Go out, pen and paper it, and really capture what you're thinking. Well, we did ours. We went to Amberley Castle. We sat in rooms that had suits of armour, and we sat in chairs that Henry VIII had been in. All that. It's like properly align yourself to this moment in time. So when things do get a bit tricky, you can go back to, right, we were in the castle, we did this. One of my clients recently went to a hotel called the Tawny, and it was all about wild animals, and it's so recognisable, all the things they were thinking about in nature rather than in front of screens, that they can take into their business. So firstly, get it out your head
Get
and
it out your
capture
head.
it. Secondly, make what you do mean something to others. So that's brilliant about, you attach a number or some numbers to what you're doing so that people can align to those numbers. And I call these lighthouse metrics, and I talk about this quite a lot because in my younger days, I worked in automotive and I
You're
was
still young,
working.
Nikki.
Oh, thank you so much, Jay. You're brilliant. And I'm going to take that clip and put it everywhere. I worked with Nissan, and the business was bought by Carlos Ghosn for $1 because it was going to go bankrupt, and he took on all the debt. And Carlos Ghosn put in the Nissan 180 plan, the turnaround plan for the business, so 180 being turnaround, and it was aimed to turn the business around in 5 years. The one stood for 1 million car sales, 8% profit, and zero debt. And everybody who's aligned to that business, be it dealers, parts manufacturers, head office, agencies, whoever, had to have those three numbers, or two of them, or maybe just the one, on their business plan to make sure the work they were doing was aligned to turning the business around. This was fascinating. So the business turned around in 3 years, not 5. And Nissan has been one of the most innovative car companies on the planet. They brought the first mass production EV to market way before Tesla with the
Nissan
Nissan.
Leaf.
That's
Nissan
the
Leaf.
one. That's the one. We remember it well. I mean, Tesla did bring out the Roadster, but it was so expensive. I think only about 5 people could afford it. But the mass production vehicle was Nissan, and they've continued to innovate ever since. And I think that idea of having some lighthouse metrics, one or two or three, four, five numbers that other people in the business can align to, so your vision becomes reality, and it cuts through so much uncertainty, and you really do have a very clear North Star.
I really like that, Nikki. And what is there any numbers that you say, look, these are the KPIs to really try to focus on to drive the team, to drive your business to achieve that North Star?
It's different for every agency.
Yeah.
There are some similarities, and it doesn't actually matter what the numbers are. We at Proponent we had 190, 80, 70, 60, 50, so you can remember those numbers, but it's what they mean that makes a difference. I'll go into that in a sec. Other agencies I've put in the 54321 plan, 65, 70, 20, 20. It doesn't actually matter what the numbers are, so long as they mean something to you. And it's that interpretation for your team is how I can affect those numbers that really starts to get you traction, because then you know where your North Star is and you know the numbers that you need to affect to get there, and you're all pulling in the same direction. It's that power of vectors all going in the same direction, none coming off like this and pulling you back, all going in the same way.
So come on, give us some stories. Come on,
So
some stories.
at Propeller we had 190, 80, 70, 60, 50. So this is 15 years ago, but it's £100,000 of revenue per person. 90% employee satisfaction and client satisfaction. 80% client retention, because you don't have control of every client being retained
Yeah.
all the time, but 80% is a good figure to go for. 70% minimum utilisation, not a target, a minimum. 60 precious seats, which I could talk about, and 50% gross profit. So there's quite a range of numbers there,
Yeah.
but they really pulled the business plan together and people knew what they could do to affect them. They didn't at the start, but once we started talking about it, they did. So £100,000 revenue per person. Someone said, how can I affect that? Well, think about how you service your clients. If you get asked to do a brief that's out of scope, talk about that. Don't just naturally do it. It's your question, isn't it? It's like, who's paying for this?
Who's
Because
paying for it?
if they're not, if the client's not paying for it, then the agency is. So how you can affect revenue per person by being very astute about managing your client and the utilisation that they're asking you for. The ENPS, are you a good person to work with? Do your clients enjoy working with you? Are we going to get good scores? They need to be 90% plus in the way that we're working, because clients can look around anywhere these days, and we know the volatility of relationships. 60 precious seats was quite unique to us, but actually
Precious seats.
precious seats.
Right, precious. Right, come on, tell me about this. I love this.
So we got together and we said, how big do we want this agency to go? Because the whole thing was that you grow and grow and grow and sell. We're like, do we just want to keep doing more and more and more and more? Because actually we could double the size of the revenue of the agency and double the number of people, but the revenue per person may just stay the same. But you've doubled the overhead, you've doubled the management cost, you've doubled the headaches. How about we grow more strategically and we cap the size of the business so that every time someone leaves, and they will, we don't necessarily replace. We think about where the business is going and what roles we actually do need. And it also made us think, we want to grow in a way where we look at product, because product has very different metrics, particularly in terms of margin, and it enabled us to have a real focus of the profit we were creating and how we were going to reinvest it into product to create two products, Answer the Public and Coverage Book, which are now way more profitable and valuable than the agency itself, but all three still work together. Actually, we sold Answer the Public last year, which is brilliant for all. But we had metrics that said to us, this is why we're doing what we're doing. We're capping the size of this business to give us real strategic focus on how we can grow a product business. And it worked brilliantly. There's so many journeys you can go on with this stuff. 50% gross profit was the last figure there, and not every founder is comfortable sharing their profit, but I would really encourage you to do so, because if people don't understand profit, they can't really affect it, and they probably start to make up their own truth. And as humans, we tend to be negative, and it normally means, oh, it's just for you to be rich. No, there's lots of reasons to generate profit, and we ended up doing a whole workshop on this. So why do we need to make profit? We're not a charity. We're not fundraising. We need to make profit to be sustainable. It's just a validation of the business, but it fuels growth. It fuels the ability to invest in other things, the team, the products, and get people's heads around why the profit matters. So those were Propeller's numbers. Other agencies have very different numbers, but it means people understand what they can affect to get the North Star and the vision they bought into.
So the whole team's bought into the North Star, and you're basically saying these are the three, five, six numbers. How often did you report on them? Like monthly, quarterly? How did you
So
share it? Did you have a town hall? Like, because you've got
y-
to get everyone behind the leaders, haven't you, to make the North Star happen?
yeah, what normally happens is you've got your vivid vision, you go through 3 year business plan, you start to look at the numbers. And often founders say to me, I can't get to those numbers. And that's one thing I love doing because I'm slightly removed. I can go, oh, those are really interesting numbers and they're the ones that are going to really drive your business. Let's talk about how we communicate them. If you have a leadership team, get them brought in first because it is a bit of a mindset shift for people to go, oh, how can I affect that? But once you start talking about it, they can. So get your senior people involved and then workshop it with people. Say, these are the numbers we're heading for. These are the 5, 4, 3, however many. And let's have a think about how you can affect those numbers. And then it becomes a part of performance reviews and ongoing one-to-one chats. Every Friday we had a weekly town hall and we talked about the numbers. The first thing is to quiz people on them. Do they know what 54321 stands for? Because if they don't, they're never going to apply it to themselves. And we just have a quiz. So what's the 5? What's the 4? And people got used to talking about them. Because often with business plans, they just stay on the founder's laptop or in a presentation. This is about getting them out, getting them living, getting them breathing, and those numbers being things people talk about.
Yeah, it came up yesterday. We was talking about this at the leaders' lunch yesterday, and I can't remember the name of the lady who said it, but she said, we do these type of things, and what you've described there, okay, we've got the plan out, I've got it out of my head, I've got it down on a bit of paper. How do you then make sure the stuff happens? Like, how do you make sure that to achieve that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, there are certain things that need to happen, aren't there?
Yes.
So it could be like we want 100 gram per head. I love that figure. It's been 100 gram per head for years, hasn't it? So like 20 years. Been
Well,
100.
yeah, that's a bit out of
Right.
date now. It needs to be a lot higher than that, but
What's
yes.
not changed in 20 years? Trying to get 100 grand a head. Right. Hourly rates haven't changed. They're still about 100 quid an hour. the,
Terrifying. Yeah.
the only thing that has changed is salary ratios aren't 55% anymore.
Yes.
But and she said, how do you actually make all those things then happen? So we do it here with like we break it down into like little rocks and say, right, that's the rock we're focusing on for this quarter, and then we have like leading and lagging indicators that sort of give us direction. Are we likely to achieve that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 number based on the leading indicators? How do you do it in the agencies you work with, Nikki? Similar type of thing, or have you got different methods?
Yeah, absolutely. That looking forward and the forecasting forward is so important because that's what you can affect and that's what you can
Yeah,
change. Management reports in the past, fine, we need to know what we've banked, but actually we can't affect them now. We can affect the figures of the future. And if you have a dashboard, I always call it, driving with the dashboard lights on, you've got
yeah,
to have your management information visible in a way that people can tap into and go, oh, so if we do this, that's going to be the effect. If we do that, that's going to be the effect. And this is where conversations around, agency vampires, like profit vampires, over servicing, scope creep, the things that make a huge impact on our business suddenly become real when they're aligned to the numbers. And people go, oh, so if I overservice or we've got scope creep,
yeah,
that's going to affect that revenue per person figure or the gross profit figure or the client satisfaction figure, to be honest. Because if we overservice and we don't do very well because we're too stretched, we're never going to get great client results. We owe it to ourselves to have those grown-up conversations about what we're actually doing and what's possible.
yeah. That makes sense. I mean, we do a similar thing here with like the rocks and try to go this quarter we're doing this. Do you so we run balanced scorecards in our business.
Yep.
Do you encourage your clients to put a proper balanced scorecard in and start using that as part of the vivid vision to drive it forward?
And make it as simple as possible. There's so many numbers in agencies. Just getting to those lighthouse metrics is quite a process to go through because you want to pick the right numbers and you want there to be numbers that people can understand. But then it's the ongoing management of them. So that balanced scorecard, absolutely. It's not a P&L. It's not a balance sheet. They can be an anathema to some people. This is data that people can get behind and go, I affected that number. That's amazing. And actually we overachieved that number. It was really easy to look at client NPS. And what I always say to my founders is, please don't automate this bit. Please don't just send out emails to get NPS scores. Pick up the phone and have a conversation. This is back to humanity. We need to speak to people and understand how they're thinking and feeling. It really worries me when it's like, oh, we're doing NPS, we just email blast everyone or one. That doesn't align to their timings. It's very unfriendly, I believe. It actually asks them to do a lot of the work. And often you don't catch in the conversation because there isn't one, what really is going on. So if you're going to do NPS, make sure it's aligned to the client timings. I would always pick the time when we've just delivered a project and say, right, what's gone really well? What can we improve? What would you like to do next? So there's a kind of a growth element to it. And you'll pick up the nuances of what they're worried about or what is affecting them that you never would through an email NPS. So all of these things, stay human with them.
Stay human. Pick the phone up.
Yeah. I
Old
mean, wow,
fashioned,
what?
that old fashioned, hi Nikki, it's Jay.
Yeah.
Maybe on
Yeah.
a Teams call.
You never know. You never know.
So
Yeah.
you obviously you've grown two successful agencies, Nikki, and you work with as a mentor and a coach with lots of agencies. Give us some gold on what the best agencies you see are doing, how they're putting that North Star in, how they're operating day to day, month by month. Because for me, similar to you, I say your P&L, all of that type of stuff, it's rear view mirror. It's
Yeah.
happened. You can't do anything about it. I think I said this on this A game before. I love the scene in Lion King where Rafiki whacks Simba on the head and he says, "Why did you do that?" And he says, "It doesn't matter. It's in the past." Right?
Yes.
I think that's so true of running a business. That doesn't matter because it's in the past. What are those like leading indicators and the managing the behaviours day to day of your team that affect it? So give us some good gold on how you've seen agencies do this because every agency is different. How you approach it has to be different.
Yes.
What are the good things that you've seen that people on here could go, I'm going to try a bit of this in my business?
Brilliant. Transparency about where you're going. So the vivid vision, which we've covered. The lighthouse metrics, so getting to your North Star, how we do it together.
Yeah,
But leading indicators, often we have a revenue forecast, but we don't share a profit forecast. And I think that's a shame. We've got to get comfortable that it's okay to make money and be clear with people what that money is doing because it's fueling our business. It's not just there to make the founder rich. We know it's there to fuel the business. And people need to be comfortable with that and get behind it being fueled.
yeah,
And part of that is being really transparent about the pipeline of business coming in. Now, I know a lot of founders don't want to overwhelm their team with the current work they've got and all the pitches and conversations that maybe be happening here. But the pipeline is your best leading indicator of what the future could look like. And I don't know if if you remember Top Gear, going to show our age here now, where they had
yes,
the cool wall and Jeremy Clarkson and Richard Hammond would place cars on the wall, how cool or uncool they were. I asked people to do that either digitally on like a Kanban wall or physically in the office and put the logos of the clients that you're pitching for aligned to how much they potentially could spend and show people movement. Say, right, conversation here, brief in here, pitch there. Did we win? Did we lose? That movement across that board is so motivating. And again, it brings the humanity back in.
that's really
Also,
nice.
you'll get people going, oh, I used to work on that client. Oh, I'm really into cycling and I could do something with that. And it's a really lovely galvanizing way of getting people to go, oh, I can see the future. It's not happened yet, but I can see it and I can affect it. That's massive.
I love that, Nisha. I guess with people not in offices all the time, you've got to try to do it in some like digital way where you can get
You do
onto
it
a
on a Miro board, Kanban board, absolutely. But it's making sure that you do the updates together. So every Monday morning, every Friday, whenever you want to do it, we used to have a pipeline and pulse meeting. Pipeline, show the change in the pipeline and where things are moving. Things might drop out, new things may come in. Really lovely galvanizing conversation because it affects people and planning. And then pulse. So you've got the pipeline of the new business coming in and the pulse of the business as it is. What's happening right now? What are we looking at this month? What's the utilization? What profit levels are we at? Pipeline and pulse together really gets people to understand the numbers without overwhelming them with the P&L.
pipeline and pulse. I'm going to take that.
Do you know what? If you name something, it starts to live and have its own way
Yeah,
of being. Naming is so important in these things. That's why I name the numbers lighthouse metrics. It's like, where's the light going? Where are we shining the light on now? And everything that's important in the business that ideally has a name is going to get more attention and more focus.
pipeline and pulse. That's brilliant. What other things have you seen? You got your vivid vision, you've got your lighthouse numbers, you've got your pipeline and pulse. What around about the stuff that's a little bit more, I guess, softer around the people? Like how do you make sure that people are like they come in work, they're invigorated, they're passionate about what they're doing? Anything around that, Nikki? Because we're a people business, right? That's what
Absolutely.
we are. And I think
Absolutely.
sometimes we do, I'm guilty of this, we focus on those numbers but actually the numbers happen because of the team. So is there anything
Absolutely.
around how you make that team amazing?
Yes. So you've got your vision and the values, which some people go, oh, wow, why are we still talking about values? But values are so, so important. It's the heartbeat of your business. And we set the agency up to feel well-being because, people who are feeling and doing good work may come up with ideas that light up the world. If you're feeling really under pressure and you're close to burnout, you're not going to do amazing work. So well-being was one of our values. There may be a value like that in other people's businesses, but how you live it is so important. So we had well-being check-ins and we would ask people, Are you taking your holiday? Because if you don't, you're going to burn out. Are you taking your propel days? We offered a day a month to go and propel yourself forward. It's 12 days a year to go and learn stuff. Go and do that. If
Propel
you're not,
day. You're full of them today,
oh,
Nikki.
you know, you name it, it's going to happen. If people weren't taking 3 propel days, I'd be like, we're not taking your own personal development seriously. This is on you. You know, you need to take your personal development seriously. Are you working with our internal coach? And not everyone has a coach, but I'm a massive fan of coaching, now being a coach myself. And ideally somebody trained in coaching, because they're trained to keep people safe.
Yeah.
And are you using a health cash plan? Again, not everyone will have a health policy, but ideally put the responsibility on people for them to take care of their own well-being, as well as us put loads of springboards in place for them to do so. You know, I think it was Carrie Rose, actually, she said, you know, I'll take care of me for you, you take care of you for me. It's
Right.
not my responsibility for you to outsource your well-being to me. It's your responsibility. Much like it's not my responsibility for you to outsource your happiness to me. Your happiness is your responsibility. And it's not for you to outsource your career to me either. Your career is your responsibility. I think we need to make that personal responsibility for what's going to impact our lives down to the people whose life it is. Not us as leaders take it all on, because that is an incredible weight to take.
Which then adds to we started with the chaos of coming in and not being able to calm the fuck down. If you got all
Yeah,
this, you know.
yeah,
That Propel Day.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. So, would people go away from? Are they doing it within the bit? Just tell me a little bit about that. I really like that idea.
So when we first talked about it, we were like, well, there's so much that people do in terms of personal development. We want to give them the freedom to go and work out what they want to do. So I said to people, right, you've got a day a month. I don't need to know what you're doing. I just need to know the impact of what you did do into the business. So you need to
Right.
share what you've learned. But what we found, Joe, was really interesting is people weren't taking them up. We've got 30% uptake. I was like, wow, there's like 600 days here available for you that we're giving you, and you're not taking them. And there was too much freedom. People were like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do. So then we started to align it to, okay, let's look at our lighthouse metrics. What could you do that could help you affect one of those? And people were like, oh, right, actually, I want to learn more about client servicing. I want to learn more about how we do scope creep. And it was very much connected to the business. But I also wanted people to do creative pursuits, like go to learn how to paint or how to sing or speak another language. But come back and think about how it may affect our business. And we got that level of uptake of Propel Days up to way over 80%, which is great. It's just getting into a different headspace and having the time to do so, but taking ownership of it and not expecting me as the founder to give it to you on a plate.
Give you on the plan. And did you, on those Propel Days, did you give each person like a budget for the year that they could
Yeah,
spend?
yeah. And some people said, I want to go on this 3-day course. Can I put 3 Propel Days together? Absolutely brilliant. You think about this, go do it. Fantastic.
I love that. Nikki, can you believe it's 5 to 10?
Oh my God. No.
Told you when I said we'd need longer than this. Do you know what? Right, I'm going to put you on the spot. I've only ever done this to one other person.
Okay.
That person was Peter Chat from the Wow Company, and I said, "Pete, we could chat about this for ages. I think we should do a random draw and take some people on this webinar to lunch. Should we do
You
it?
know, you know what I'm like
Should we
with
do it?"
lunch. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do
Right.
it.
Okay. So anyone who's listening to this webinar, no, anyone who's registered for this webinar, I'm going to do a random draw. I'll get Mia or Georgia to do it, a random draw, and we'll take 5 people to lunch, Nikki. Are
Sounds
you
good
in?
to me. I'm in. I'm
Ooh,
100%
right,
in.
we'll do it after this. We'll do it after this. Right, I can't believe that time has gone so quick. It's been brilliant, Nikki, and I think people on here will go away and just, if you've got that, for me, if you've got that vision, that capture it moment, I think is really important. Write it down, start sharing it, and the lighthouse numbers. How can people start affecting numbers? I love that. Really, really good. I always ask our guests one bit of advice. One bit. Someone's going to walk off here and go, right, what's the one bit of advice? So, the amazing Nikki Gatenby, what is it? What's your one bit of advice?
When it all feels quite tricky, just remember there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.